remember said our title page is looking good, our very first page is looking good, but what if we want a reference page? You may find that in your session 1 paper, you don't need a reference page, and that's completely okay. But if you decide to have one, and I recommend them in the sense that I want you to practice, so if you can squeeze something in there, awesome, go for it. But I'm not upset in any way if you don't include a reference. So what we would do if we want to have that reference page is we're going to go down here to the bottom with our cursor. I like to add a line or two just to give myself some space, and then I'm going to insert a page break again. So I'm going to go over here to insert, and I'm going to put a break, and I'm choosing a page break. Now, different types of formatting structures use different words for this. In MLA, we could have a works cited page. In Chicago style, we could have a bibliography. But here in APA, we have references. And what that means for us, notice that it's plural, is that we will only include items that we have quoted. So I love a bibliography from Chicago style because it lets me put anything that could have influenced me. And I love that because what if something spurred my thought process, but I didn't end up quoting them, then I can let other people know how awesome that work is. But that's not what APA is doing. APA says, no, we want to focus on exactly what we are referencing. If we used it, if we quoted from it, then we're going to have a reference. Otherwise, nope, not it. So we only want something here on the references page if we quoted it. And notice that it's plural. What if I only have one reference? Doesn't matter. We want it to say references because that is what it has told us to do. I know these are strange things that happen with formatting, but in general, we're doing some odd things because we have smaller papers. Okay, so before we look at things, I'm going to go grab some examples because I typed them in. So I typed them in to match what's happening. I want you to look at a couple things. So first off, let's make this word references bold because remember that title page and our title, those are all going to be bold and I want it to be in the middle. So that's our first thing. We have a new page, we put references there and it's bold. Now let's look at these. These are not correct. Just to start it, they're not currently correct. So what I want to look at first is, let's say I had 50 pages of references. How am I going to find all of them? What's that going to look like? I need to think in that sort of scope, and that's going to help me understand why they're doing what they're doing. So if I had 50, and I had all these different words I had to go through, so let's actually grab this and do it 2 or 3 times. So notice how that gets kind of tricky. So I need to find the Holy Bible in English Standard. So I've got to go to T, and then I've got to find the right one. What if there were 8 pages with the letter T? That gets tricky. So what I want to do, and this page is going to be different than all the others. On all the other pages, these 2 items, this little arrow, this like downward arrow, triangle, and this line are telling me that this is the margin with the triangle, and this is the indent with that line. So I'm going to select all of this. That is my references because my references are different. I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to bring these 2 to match. So now again, it's still confusing because it's against that line. Holy Bible, Reims, but Syncage is part of Reims, and now I have like all these other bits of information. So in my work, I would see Holy Bible, the name Reims, and the Holy Bible. And I could go look those up, but now I have extra words in the middle. So we're going to fix it. We're going to grab that triangle, and we're going to bring it to the ½ inch mark there. Then we're going to grab that straight line and bring it back to 0. So let me make sure I got the right number. Yes, it's ½ inch away from each other. So now the first line of every reference is going to be here on the left, and I can just drag my finger along that margin and see what I want to see. So now let's fix the actual ones that we're working on because we added a bunch of stuff, didn't we? And now what happens with this is that each time, the same way up here, if I add a new paragraph, it has my formatting ready to go. Yes, so does the reference page. This is why I always want you to go, once you have everything set up, is to make a file and copy it so that you can redo all the formatting to match each time. I always have a template going. Okay, so there's some things wrong with these references. Titles of books need to be in italics. So I'm going to click that italics. So that's the slanty writing. There are very specific purposes for slanted writing. They are things like book titles and for words as words, but very, very rarely do we use them. So if you're using them for anything else than these random tiny things, then you should not be doing that. You're using them incorrectly. So let's look next at, I did the capitals, like I did the italics, but what's up with these capitals? So we have Holy Bible, that's the formal title, so we're going to do both words as capitals. And then we have the New International Version, which also, as well as the English Standard Version, those break some of the rules and they get capitalized. But notice over here we have P for pocket capitalized, but not key for writers, and the word with and then updates. But we have APA capitalized. So that's an abbreviation. So we're capitalizing an abbreviation. We capitalize the first word in a title. And then after that, unless we have a semicolon and an extra title, like a subtitle, then we're not going to have any more capitals unless they fit specific things like being the Bible or something like that, where we have higher numbers. So notice that I've put each of those in, and there are other works on references, but we're adding that page and we're seeing where we want to go with it. And then I'm going to go grab all of this so that I can make it look tidy. Because have you ever had a paper and you're like, wait a minute, why are there 6 pages when you aren't actually writing on those? So now we just have our 4 pages and we're good to go.